International Bankruptcy and Corporate Restructuring. Hi, my name is Sage Wetzel. I'm a criminal justice major at Bloomsburg, and I'm a junior this year. This topic is important to me because I'm pursuing a future career in bankruptcy law. Understanding international bankruptcy and corporate restructuring gives me a deeper look at how financial crisis unfolds and how companies rebuild and how legal systems protect creditors and employees. With globalization making businesses more interconnected than ever, the next generation of bankruptcy lawyers won't just be dealing with US cases, we'll be navigating foreign assets, international creditors, and multinational restructuring strategies. Learning this now prepares me for the kind of complex cross border work I hope to do in my career. We're going to explore how international bankruptcy works, why globalization complicates it, and why it matters to us. The global web of corporate failure. Why international bankruptcy matters more now than ever. Globalization has connected businesses more than ever before. A company's failure in one country can ripple across continents internationally. Bankruptcy isn't just a legal issue abroad, it affects US markets, investors, and even everyday consumers. Let's learn how these cross border collapses can happen and why restructuring is complicated and why it matters here at home. When companies collapse across borders, how multinational firms turn bankruptcy into a global puzzle. International bankruptcy happens when a company with operations in multiple countries runs into financial trouble. Unlike a domestic case, it involves different legal systems, competing creditors, and foreign assets that complicate the process. Global cooperation is key. Without it, resolving the company's debts and protecting stakeholders becomes tangled in multicultural puzzles. Every country involved has its own rules for who gets paid and how they get paid. This goes into how assets are divided and which court has authority. Creditors in one country might have different priorities than creditors elsewhere. Assets like factories, bank accounts, or intellectual property could be located in multiple nations. Coordinating all of these moving parts is like solving a complex puzzle where each piece is controlled by a different legal system. Getting it right is critical for making sure creditors are treated fairly and the company has a chance to be restructured. The downside of being worldwide, why globalization makes restructuring way messier. Globalization means companies aren't just local, they have suppliers, factories, and investors all around the world. When a company faces financial trouble, the interconnection spreads risk globally. Different countries have different bankruptcy laws, which means that this can conflict, making restructuring more complicated. A delay or misstep in one country can ripple across the company and affect even the United States markets and jobs and consumers. A supply chain is a system of organizations, people, activities, and resources involved in producing and delivering a product to the consumer. It starts with raw materials, moves through manufacturing, transportation, and distribution, and ends with the product reaching the customer. For global companies, supply chains often stretch across multiple countries. This means if a factory or supplier abroad faces financial trouble or shuts down, it can delay production, increase costs, and even disrupt products reaching the United States, showing why international bankruptcy can have far reaching effects. Making countries play nice. The rules of cross border cleanup. When a company with assets in multiple countries goes bankrupt, coordination is key. The unilateral model law was created to give countries a framework for cooperating on these complex cases, helping avoid conflicts between courts. The US uses Chapter 15, which lets foreign companies across the United States courts protect the United States creditors. Chapter 15 is a part of the US bankruptcy law that deals with companies that have operations in multiple countries. It lets foreign companies ask the United States courts for help managing their assets and debts in the US while also protecting the US creditors. Think of it as a set of rules that helps countries work together. When a global company is in financial trouble, so everyone who knows that is getting paid can handle that, and they'll know what to handle in this situation. Essentially, these rules are what allow countries to play nice and resolve multinational bankruptcies more effectively, which ultimately stabilizes both the global and the US markets. The Lehman Brothers are one of the most popular bankruptcy cases around the world, and this is about how one collapse exposed the chaos of global finance. The Lehman Brothers was once one of the largest investment banks in the United States, helping people, companies, and governments manage money and investments all around the world. In 2008, they collapsed in what became the largest bankruptcy in the US history. The company had offices and assets and creditors in over 80 countries, which meant courts around the world were competing for control of its assets. Some creditors wanted immediate payment, while others were trying to protect long term recovery. This case highlighted why frameworks like UNITRAL, and Chapter 15 are essential. Without international coordination, resolving these bankruptcies would be chaotic and could destabilize global markets. It also shows why US investors and companies need to understand international bankruptcy. Why this all matters to the United States specifically. International bankruptcy isn't just a niche topic, it affects investors and companies and consumers in the United States. And the effects are only growing as globalization spreads. Excuse me. Understanding how multinational bankruptcies are restructuring will help protect markets, jobs, and supply chains. For me, these are real world challenges that I'll need to navigate studying these systems that can now give me an insight into how law and global businesses intersect and why international cooperation is essential for financial stability. Even if you don't plan to be a lawyer, this matters to you because international bankruptcies can affect the products that you buy, the companies that you work for, and the overall stability of the US economy. International bankruptcy may sound intimidating, but it's more relevant to your life than you may think. And I thank you for your time.